Hey y'all, this is David, the Georgia photographer, and the reason I waited a second is to make sure the stream spooled up on YouTube. Alright, I gotta confirm that we are live, and it looks like we are. Good deal. And tonight, I'm gonna switch back over to my widget. Tonight, I want to talk about a few things. Oh, I need to pop out my chat so I can see you guys talking to me. Let's see here, where's the pop out the chat thing? Here. Pop out chat. There we go. Now I can see you guys. Ray Soldano's already in the house. Man, you guys are like, and Hassan. All right. So we're spooled up and hot. Let's see here. Get back over to OBS where I need to be so I can do all my fancy stuff I've fixed up. All right. Come on, bring my chat back. There it is. Now, let's see. I can put this right in this corner and it should be good to go. Oh, wait. I'm going to have to compress this a little, ain't I? Yeah, there we go. That way I can set this here. Should have done this a minute ago. Just now thought of it. Sorry about that. Let's see. Let's compress that down. Ah, Scott's here. How you doing, Scott? I'm going to set that there. Pull the bottom down. Bring this corner. Yeah. I'm having to build it as I go. Sorry. Now, I've got it built. Okay, so we're in operation. Anyway, got some exciting news tonight. Some things I want to kind of talk about. Mainly it has to do with the ZF as usual, because this Nikon Zf has become, well, it's my love interest at the moment in photography, so I've been using it a lot lately. And I've been doing things with it that I haven't been doing with my other cameras. All right, this one actually, the video mode is easy to use. It's just all right. Like, I played with setting it up. The moment I throw this little switch right here, one click, it's a video camera. And you can, then the record button's right here by the shutter button. So you just move your finger over a little bit and you hit record, and you can record whatever you want. I'm going to switch it back to camera because I'll inevitably grab it to take a picture and it'll be in video camera mode. Anyway, I went the other night with Teresa and took a bunch of photos. Woody, Mallory, and Albert's here. Man, you guys are on it. I'm glad to see everybody's here tonight. But I took this camera to a place here locally known as Rock City. They have, every Christmas, they do a big Christmas festival of lights kind of thing, and they spread them out. If you've ever been to Gatlinburg and seen the big light displays, they kind of do that at Rock City. And it's really interesting to see. So we went, we bundled up. It's on top of Lookout Mountain. It was about 40 degrees, and we struck out. Yeah, not as in failed. Struck out as a southern term means we headed that way to it. You know, we struck out for it. And, well, I took this, and literally the 50mm f1.8, kind of shot it wide open because of the light. I wanted as much light as I could get. And then I done some experimenting. And I'm just going to share with you a few photos I took there, because there's a video in process that'll share more. I also did some video with the camera while there, so I've got low light video footage too. Now, I don't know exactly what the settings were for that, so it's entirely plausible that it's unusable. So, getting on with that. What's going on with my microphone? Why does it turn that way? All right, got the mic fixed. But I'm going to switch you over here, and we're going to look at some pictures. Now, I haven't used Lightroom in quite some time. I'm just going to be fair with you here that I've been using Darktable and GIMP because I am currently running Linux on my personal computer systems. I have switched from Linux Mint, which is kind of the gateway drug of Linux. It looks like Windows. Linux Mint is really good to get someone moved from Windows or even Mac over to Linux because it's real easy to use. It's real user-friendly, understanding. You know, it's very similar, so it's not a hard transition. Well, I used it for several months, and it worked pretty good, but there was a couple of things that it didn't do well. One of those things was edit raw files in Darktable. I would pull the RAW in, and it would give me like the red X. It just couldn't encode the RAWs out of the ZF. The ZF's been out over a year. I was like, surely Darktable's updated their codecs by now. I mean, everybody else has, and it just didn't work. So I had reserved myself to shoot JPEGs until they figured it out. I even installed, there's a long story, but I still own a Mac. It's down there, but I have a MacBook Pro, a 2015, that's how old it is, that has the Nikon RAW editing software on it. So if I wanted to pull a RAW in and do something with it, I could. I moved over to Ubuntu Studio. It's a special distro, which means it's a package of Ubuntu that already has a bunch of creator stuff like already bundled in it, so you don't have to download it all. So it already had Darktable, already had GIMP. It has, let's see, it has a program called Patch Ants. It's something about doing with audio. It has a program called Ardor Digital Audio Workstation. It has a program called Krita Digital Painting. I need to play with that. Of course, GIMP, Kdenlive, which is the video editor I use to edit my videos. Digicam, photo management program. I don't even know. I haven't tried it yet. And that's just the stuff that was on the taskbar. There's a bunch more when you pull down the start button. But this version, I opened Darktable, drug a RAW file in, as you see in this video shot. It opened it. Something about Ubuntu was able to read the ZF RAW files. It's like, now we're in business. That was like the main problem I had with Mint. And it crashed. That was another problem I had with it. And the reason I moved on to this Ubuntu Studio, it kind of got on my nerves. If it locked the screen and it sat for more than 1 day under screen lock, the computer would lock up. And you'd have to power cycle it to get it to reboot. And it would reboot and start up and work just fine. But if it sat more than a day with the screensaver on, like if I didn't come in here on a Saturday and open the computer and do something with it after finishing Friday night, and it was Sunday before I got to it, I'd have to power cycle it. So I tried this distro. I thought I'd give this Ubuntu Studio a shot. So far, it has worked perfectly. I've had it on the machine almost a week now, and it hasn't locked up not once. It just works. And like I said, Darktable worked right out of the box with RAW files. And as you can see here, this is a long exposure of Teresa. I had her stand really still. I don't remember the time. Let's see. Down here it says 1/1.3 seconds. So 1/2 would be a half second. So this is slower than half second. So it's in between half and 3/4 of a second probably. And you can see the person in this corner is blurry where they were walking. I was trying to get people passing through this big open space over here so that you could get the motion blur. But I took like 6 photos like this, and I knew she was starting to get tired of me doing this creative photography because you could see the expression slowly melting away on her face. And she would be blurry in all of them. This one she was pretty sharp in. I was kind of happy with this one. I mean, it's not bad. It's a little bit out from movement, but it's not bad. So I was kindly happy with this one. But I was able to edit it and bring up some stuff. And what I want to do is I want to share a feature with you, and it's really impressive. Okay? Let's see. Just had an ad. Oh, crap. Thank you for the notification on the ads. Let me hop over and see if I can stop them. Maybe I can. Minimize this and this. Will it let me do it midstream? We're going to see. I just turned monetization off, and it said it saved the changes. Thank you for letting me know. We'll see if it takes. Okay, let me bring back up that. And this. There we go. Now I got my chat back. Thank you, Woody, for letting me know. Well, let me know if it does any more. We'll see. But yeah, I'm I got in a hurry tonight. I didn't go through my checklist. One of the checklist items is to make sure monetization is disabled for the stream. Appreciate you letting me know. Note. Yeah, there we go. Pencil. I have my pens, but I've been using one of these fancy pencils lately. It's a machined aluminum one. It's a Kuru Toga. I don't know. It's made by that Uni company that does the Uniball, the little tiny microscopic ballpoint that's got felt tip ink in them. I like it. It writes really well. Anyway, back to the Darktable. Okay, let me make sure I didn't miss anything. This Darktable has a different kind of, not levels, but you have the sloping line, and you can pull down, and it's like a line that you can drag above and below a 45-degree plane. It's called something, and I don't remember what it's called. It's not exposure, it's not levels, but it's the other one. Can't remember now. This one has local contrast. No, my bad. It's not local. It's tone. The tone curve. That's what I was looking for. Well, Darktable doesn't have a tone curve. They have the tone equalizer. If you notice, you hover over a function, it gives you some information about it. Well, I'm going to open it. As you can see, it gives you a linear line that has a change done. And here's the beautiful thing about this. You can make changes here. I can grab this line and pull it around. I can pull it up, let go, and it'll make changes on the image, and I can pull it back. I'm going to put it back where it was. I want them about neutral. There. Whoop. Okay, well, this works. Anyway, I'm gonna make the edit again, so it works. Once you're in this mode, if you bring your cursor onto the image, notice it brings a crosshair up that has a colored dot, and it shows the EV value of the spot you're sitting on. That's also corresponding to that line you see on the graph. And if I scroll the mouse wheel, like let's come over to Teresa's face. I want to brighten her face. I just scroll the mouse wheel up and her face starts getting brighter. Look at that. I'm adjusting just that section and it's pulling that curve up for that part of the image. Look at that. Isn't that awesome? That blew my mind once I figured it out. It's like, man, this target thing is magic. I just wanted to share that with you. If you're a Darktable user, this is a very powerful tool that's in the, what's it called, the base settings. This is like the ones you use first. You know, it's got 1,000 settings. If you click this again, it'll bring them all in. Whoops. Of course, I close it down by clicking there. I'm trying to pull the slider down. There's a mountain of things you can adjust, of course. But if you turn off all but the base ones, then, yeah, tone equalizer is exactly what I wanted it for. It's like the tone curve where you can adjust sections of it really easily. It's pretty cool. All right. I didn't take my tripod, so these are all handheld. And if you notice, this is 1/3 of a second. This thing is sharp, dude. In my world, I'm happy with it. I mean, it ain't laser crisp because it's 1/3 of a second, but it is pretty darn crispy. Look at these lines. That's not bad at all. Like I said, I haven't finished my edits on them. I'm still playing with them. I'm learning a lot about Darktable. I'm using these as kind of a learning curve sort of thing. I got some cool photos. Like, let's get this out here. This little Rock City birdhouse with the lights on it. I was trying to get cool background lights with something in the foreground Christmassy. This one needs a lot of work. I'm going to probably reset this one back to 0 because this should be more red. I've played with the colors so heavily, I've pulled all the red out of it. They had red light shining on the rock, and you can see the waterfall is blurry because it's 1/4 second. I did brace this one on the handrail, but I wanted to get the water flow, you know, smooth like you see, but I also wanted to get the lights, and I was able to get it. But I've pulled so much red out of it that I've lost the red lights in the star, and it doesn't have the coloration it did have. It was a lot more colorful to start with. So that one I got to go back. Like I said, I'll probably just reset it and start over. Then I got this one of Teresa standing in this little rock formation with the lights behind her, and they had like a blue mood light just outside of this little passage. And I was like, this will make a pretty good background shot. So I grabbed a photo over here. there's a bunch more. Like I said, I got a video coming, and I'll eventually get that video edited. It'll probably be in January sometime. But this is just a little preview about that and about Darktable. I wanted to share that feature with you from Darktable. It's a pretty cool thing. I was kind of shocked at how well it allowed me to make spot adjustments to the image and not have to guess where it's at on the scale. I can just mouse over and brighten or darken that section. It was like an epiphany. Have you tried the Nikon NX Studio to edit your RAWs, then move to another editor if you need to? That's the one I have on my Mac that I was using when I wanted to edit a RAW file before I tried this distro with the RAW files working. Yeah, it works really well. I had never used it, but Bass Angler told me about it. He's like, I edit all my RAWs in Nikon NX. Like, really? I didn't think anybody used the bundled software, and it turns out lots of people do. It was kind of surprising, actually. All right, let's see. I'm checking. Okay, everything looks good. Okay. I got a checklist. Yeah, all right. Oops, sorry. Got this one. Now, the big news. All right, I'm just gonna switch over to the full screen, and then let's see. Check that out. They finally did it. The FTZ3 or whatever they're gonna call it. FTZ3 or FTGSC, whatever the name is. This looks real. If this is like a AI generated image, it's well done. This looks like the real McCoy, and right there's the magical widget. If you see that, you understand this lens comes back into play on the ZF with autofocus again. Like this lens, the 20 millimeter AFD, like this 50 f1.4 that's manual focus only for me right now, but particularly the 105. And another lens that I've been kind of sitting on my hands about picking up because there wasn't any way to autofocus it, and that was an 80-200. I've never owned one, and I've always wanted one. And when I got rid of my DSLR, the D810, I didn't have a way of autofocusing it. So I've got the Z50, which I'm filming on, the ZF, which is its big brother, and that's the only Nikon. I do have the D40X. It won't autofocus it. I don't think it has the autofocus motor. It's too small. But I also don't have a working battery for it right now. It's been set up as a display. It's decoration in the living room and a cabinet with a bunch of photo books. So it hasn't been turned on in ages. And but these lenses are in my use queue. That I use them, and because of that, I've been wanting this. I knew this was a thing. I knew Nikon could do it. They could have done this from the beginning. I think there's just finally been enough public outcry from the community that they decided to make it. Yeah. Instead of this thing, you have one with a little drop on the bottom that has the motor in it to run the focus mech. This is FTZ2. I have the original one. That's what's on the Z50 right now because it has a F-mount 10-20 millimeter DX lens. But yeah, I am going to get on the list to get one of these. If this thing happens, if they launch this at CES, I'm going to be in that first line. This will be the first time I buy something brand new when it launches. If I can get my hands on one of these mounts, I am absolutely going to have one because I've been wanting that. This is, let's see here. Let me just bring me back into play here. Yeah, we can read about it a little bit here. I don't know how many of y'all seen Nikon rumors. Cough, rumor. Yeah. Aaron was actually the one that brought it to my attention. He found it and threw it my way. Hassan says, "Who is this bass angler person you speak of?" Yeah, he's not here tonight. Huh, interesting. Get a little sip of water. If that rumor is real, oh boy, I may have to switch back to Nikon. No kidding. They would. Here's the deal. They could set up making these and literally make them for 5 years and make nothing else, and they'd sell every one of them as fast as they make it. I guarantee it. There's so many Nikon photographers that still have their AFD or AF lenses that want to use the Z cameras, but they are reluctant to move away from their DSLRs because they can't use their lenses. They're sitting on them. That's why you'll see people still shooting. I see wedding photographers routinely shooting D700s with AF glass, D810s, D800s. Seriously, D6, was it 610? The D610? You still see them. You see them. People are using them. Pros. And they're getting good photos. And it's because they can still focus these lenses with them. You know, it's just amazing. If you speak his name 3 times, he magically appears. Bass angler, bass angler, bass angler. They just have too much financial responsibility. Yeah, there's that too. But there's no reason they can't produce this, especially if they make them in China, which, I don't know, maybe that'll go over. But yeah, this would be so awesome if it actually comes to pass. I like the idea so much. I am so stoked that this looks, it's not a concept image. It's not an AI. If it is AI generated, it's well done. If it's Photoshop, they did their homework. But yeah, I'm super stoked about that. And then I think maybe this came about, just to tell you the truth, because of the Tech Art adapters. They've got that one that it just pushes the lens back and forth. You seriously just set it to infinity focus, and then it drives the lens back and forth and focuses it, and it gives you decent focus. You get functional focus like that. By doing that, Tech Art's selling mountains of them things. So, it's like read the writing on the wall. What's the buying public want? Make what they want and they'll buy it. It's just simple economics. I'm down to one F-mount lens, and you'll have to pry it out of my cold, dead hands. That's right. I got a lot of F-mount glass. A lot. Let me make sure I didn't miss something. It's amazing how crisp nighttime photographs are today in terms of ISO performance when compared to film days and digital cameras of yesteryears. Yeah, good point, Albert. I was surprised at I did keep the ISO. Let me just hop back over that and we'll check the ISO values on them lenses. This should bring it up. There we go. Let's see. This one's ISO 320. I might have just set it mechanically on 320. No, that one's at 500. I think I was on 500, and then at some point I backed it down, and then I never turned it back up, and I just adjusted the shutter speed. Yeah, it's quarter second, 1/25 of a second on this one, mainly because of the lights. I was trying to make it have a mood, but they're all ISO 500 or less. That's something else I wanted to hop in here and talk about. Well, y'all didn't see any of that. Let's go back to here and then you can. But yeah, this one, as you can see down here at the bottom of the image, that's 500, 500, and then 500, and then I switched it to 320, probably because this rock was pretty bright, and I was trying to pull it back to make it look like it was nighttime. And then I left it because after this photo, we went around the little trail, and that's where we found this photo, and it's still at 320. And what I do here is I'll run aperture priority usually. Now, on this day, I was probably in manual just because I was going to shoot wide open, so I ran the aperture all the way open, and I wanted to set the ISO to something above 0, above 100. So I would normally set it, my favorite 640, because if you look at almost every digital camera's noise to ISO chart, graphically, noise versus ISO growth on the x-axis, you'll see it start at 100 or whatever base ISO is, and it'll go up, and then it'll come back down around 600, and then it'll spike up. So you get essentially the same quality image at 100 as you do at 640 on most Nikon cameras. And so I'll run 500, 600 ISO and not look at it twice. And normally the images are really clean. And so I'll set my ISO there, and what that does, that gives me shutter speed variation. It gives me breathing room. And if I wanted a longer shutter speed and not overexpose, I just start pulling the ISO back. And it gives me absolute control. But in low light, it's easier for me to drive the camera if I run it manual. Because I'm just adjusting two things. I'll set the aperture wide open and just leave it. Unless I'm tripoded, then because we're going to be doing 10, 20, 30 second exposures, you're going to tripod up. But yeah, if I'm shooting handheld, then I'll normally just adjust shutter speed, and I'm looking through the EVF because it's what you see is what you get, so it's kind of cheating. I can see the composition. I'll just drive the shutter speed until the exposure looks like I want in camera. And like I said, if it's still too bright, I'll just back the ISO down some till it comes in. That's normally how it works out for me. And it gives me the kind of the images like you see here that I want. Her face is exposed well, and I don't care if the rocks go into the darkness. I want you to notice her, not the dark rock shadows pulled up, and this light here kind of leads you to her face. It's a cool little composition, but you get the idea. In this one, her face is where you're immediately drawn because I've brightened it up in the raw editor. But I was, like I said, I was trying to get some kind of artistic motion blur behind her with the people walking through frame. I'll probably put a bunch of those blurry ones in there. But yeah, that's how I normally run this camera in conditions like this. If I'm doing urban photography / street photography in the city, okay, I've got two settings. Each one has its own kind of setup, and I guess everybody does that. For me, for shooting movement and people and things like that, maybe dogs, people walking their dogs, I want to get the portrait of the little puppy on the sidewalk. I'll normally set my shutter speed at 1/500th. I'll float the ISO if it's daytime. And then I'll normally run the aperture at about f4, f5.6, probably f8 if I'm doing, street scenes. If I'm getting urban photos, I'll normally run it stop down to f8 to get as much in focus as can reasonably done. And that way, the ISO will keep the exposure good, because at f8 especially, you're going to be above 100 unless it's bright direct sun. It's just not going to really be at base ISO. Stop down that much, it's going to be up a little. So you got a little latitude there to breathe with. And that way, if, like I said, at 1/500, you'll reasonably freeze most human motion unless it's really fast, like sports. People walking down the sidewalk, it'll freeze them. That's a half a millisecond. Or 2 milliseconds. It's 2 milliseconds. 1/1000th would be 1 millisecond. So 1/500th would be 2 milliseconds. Not much happens in 2 milliseconds. I don't worry too much about motion blur there. And then if I'm doing urban, I'll shoot it at f8 or f11 even, and I'll normally set it to ISO 100, 200 maybe, or sometimes 640. But I normally go down in the lower ISOs for some reason. It's just my habit, I guess. But then I'll adjust shutter speed to get the part of the scene I want, or I'll set it to aperture priority, and then I'll let it drive the shutter by setting the ISO manually. Yeah. The reason I don't set it to base ISO and leave it is because a lot of times especially in the city, you wind up having issues with really bright highlights with the sun coming through between buildings or something, and really dark shadows because of the way the dynamic scene is, and the camera struggles to keep up, and it'll try to balance the scene, and it causes problems. That's another reason I like to shoot in manual, because I drive the camera. It just does what I tell it to. It'll let me take bad pictures too, so it's kind of a caveat emptor, buyer beware. But finally caught you live. How you doing, John? Thank you for stopping in. Hassan says, I do understand Nikon's side. They want to sell as much Z glass as possible. They probably have tens of millions in Z R&D. Oh, easily, because they've improved them dramatically. I mean, like these S lenses. I'm gonna say it. Visually, to my eye, my 51.8S is as good as my Leica Apo Summicron 50mm L mount. I can't physically or visually see the difference between the photos as far as clarity and artifacts goes. The colors are slightly different because each one processes color information differently. But if you're shooting RAWs, that's on you now. I mean, I like to shoot in camera JPEG a lot, but yeah, the Leica images just have a richer look. They do. They have a little bit of a cooler look to them. They have their look. People say Leica has a look, and it kind of does. It does. If you shoot RAWs, it don't, because they're just RAWs. But all right, hop back over to this. Let's see. Ray says it isn't even Nikon, but if Nikon makes a 120 to 300 or a 100 to 300 Z mount with a built-in 1.4x teleconverter, I'll be broke. Yeah, there you go. Albert says, I did not get rid of one of my Nikon screwdriver lenses. And if this is true, I'm as delighted as a pig in wet mud. Like I said, I will be first in line for one of them. I've been waiting for that. Ever since they dropped the Z cameras, I have been waiting on that adapter. I was fully expecting this adapter to have that functionality in it, and it didn't. It broke my heart. It's like they were trying to obsolete the system of the mechanical drive focus and just kind of get away from it. But I think they finally realized through the enormous outpouring of requests that there is a lot of that glass still in use, and people love it, and they really, 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 really want to use it. Oh, you can't hear me if I ain't facing the microphone. Oh, so when I look this way, I need to do this. So if I do this, move the mic over here a little bit. Thank you for that, Ray. Then maybe I can turn my head back and forth and I don't lose spatial and awareness. Thank you for that. That's good back feedback. Yes, I'm making a note about it. There we go. You can, but it gets quiet. So I really need to face the mic while I'm talking. I thought if I talked beside it, it would work better. Okay. Appreciate that. Let's see. FTZ. I set up my ZF for walkabout. The next thing. Well, thank you, and I can't pronounce your name. I'm sorry. Hit that 90 bracket with some flat black too. 90 bracket. Oh, no. This is my billboard. I'm going to leave it silver because it says my website on it, but eventually I'm going to make up a little plate that goes here that points you to it so that it doesn't, like if I can shade the light just right. Let's see. Yeah, this way. See the text coming up? There you go. It's kind of hard to do. What if I didn't get the notebook up that I've been writing on? If I hold that over it, let's see. It's kind of hard to do. There's so much light hitting it. But yeah, says my website. That's why I haven't wrote over it. But yeah, I need to fix that. It does draw a lot of attention, doesn't it? Phil made it in. How you doing, Phil? Well, Woody asked, will the new adapter work with the new lenses? It'll work with AF lenses. Let's pull it back up and see. Let me get this brought up, and we'll jump into here. It has the electronic contacts in it, so it will probably do autofocus for G series lenses. Yeah, I'm gonna guess it. You know, they're speculating it to be AF and AFD, but with the electrical contact, because this is the F mount side, because it has the screw drive on it, and it has the contacts. So yeah, it would not. That's, you know, part of that passes EXIF data. It tells it the lens focal length and what aperture it's on and things like that. But it should work with the G series. There's no reason for them to not put that in there. Yeah, it should work. Yeah, it should absolutely work, because the focus system for the G series lenses on the regular FTZ, this one, is literally driven by the camera. So yeah. So I don't see how that would be a problem at all. Let's see. I'm surprised someone hasn't introduced a screw drive adapter, considering there are adapters for M mount to Z mount, which autofocus, manual focus lenses. Found you because I just got the 80 to 200 millimeter lens. Probably because I had just mentioned it. Now, I was talking earlier that if that adapter comes out, that there's a lens that I have never owned that I've wanted to get just to play with, and it's the 80 to 200 AF D, and I've never bought one because I had the 70 to 200 G series when I had the D810, but when I got rid of all of that, I had Z glass, and I couldn't autofocus one then. So I just decided not to buy one. And now it's a very possible thing that I'll get one. Yeah, the adapter's cool. Yes, it is. I am thoroughly impressed with this Nikon Roomer. Normally I kind of scoff them off, but it looks plausible. And he's been right a bunch of times. So he's plugged into somebody. See here. Another thing I was going to bring up is I've been shooting a little bit of video with this camera. That's new for me. I normally always shoot my video with the DJI Osmo Action Gen 1 that I have. But here lately, I've been having issues with the batteries. I'm going to have to buy some new batteries for it. They're the aftermarket ones I bought have swelled, and they don't want to go in and out of the housing unless you pick at them. And the factory one won't hold a charge very long anymore. It's time for new batteries for it. But so the other day, I did a photo walk out at the foot of Cloudland Canyon to check the water flow. And yeah, before I got 2/3 of the way through my little photo walk, the batteries went dead in my Osmo. It was cold as well, which probably didn't help. So I shot the last part of the video on this, and it looked good. It looked a lot better than I realized that I could get with the action cameras that I've been using out of convenience. Mason jar, white lightning. I don't know what you're talking about, Ray. I live on Sand Mountain. Appalachia. Found you. Anna E. Is that how you pronounce your name? I think that's what you sent in the chat. If y'all haven't done it yet, hit the like button. I'm going to remember to say that. Usually somebody says it in the chat and it reminds me to say it. But yeah, I have been super stoked about that. Let me make sure I ain't missed nothing. Hit that 90 bracket with some. Okay, yeah, I read that one. Correct. Okay. Use my 51.8 today at F9. Shut your mouth. Isn't that what the old women would say? There's no way. You don't know that lenses will stop down that far. I don't know. I guess when you shoot your macro of insects, you have to stop down so you get at least 2 razor blades thick of depth of field. Yeah, that's impressive for you. That's just Tuesday for me. Because I realized that somewhere along the photo walk, I bumped that front control wheel and moved it from F8 to F9. I find it on F7.1 a lot because of that. Used it for landscape. All right. Did you shoot it like this in landscape? Let's see here. What else I have? Oh, I was going to bring up some stuff about my computer system I'm working. I bought a new notebook computer. It's a 4-year-old Lenovo ThinkPad with an i7 Intel chip in it. And I don't remember how much memory. It's got 24 gig of memory or whatever. DDR4 or 5, whatever it is. Works wonderfully with the same distro of Ubuntu on it as my operating computer. So it's the exact same OS on both machines. So I can take the removable hard drive on a trip, plug it into this computer, and it's exactly like I was at home, except the monitor smaller. But I finally got me a new notebook computer. Was it 9 years later? I used the last one, which was a 2015 MacBook Pro I bought in late 2014. This is 2024. Yeah, you call it 9 technical years of use. I finally have give up on it, and I've moved to that thing. Kind of like it better, though. It's got that little knob mouse in the middle of the keyboard. And it's an interesting experience. I'll just give it that. But yeah, this Ubuntu Studio, I'm still learning a few things about it because a lot of the little nuances like multiple desktops, you shift them differently on this distro than you do on Mint, and the keystroke and key bindings, they call it, are a little different. I'm sorting it out a little bit at a time, but I got most of it set up now. Like I said, I got OBS working, so I'm happy with that. And it seems to be working great. It says I have dropped 0 frames, so the internet connection has been good and stable. All of that's worked really well. The audio stream, whoop, that one pegged out red. I didn't know that. Have I been clipping a lot? I just happened to look down and seen the audio meter bounce the daggum 0 dB mark. Pull this back about there. All right, I may have to add a limiter to it. I didn't bring that stuff over, the settings. I had to rebuild all my panels. Y'all have any questions for me tonight or comments about anything I've said? Because I've went over a lot. So I've just kind of just been running my mouth at this point. I don't know how long have we been streaming here. It normally tells me 44 minutes. Wow. That's been a pretty good stream already. I don't see any of the stream stats. They're behind this window. I only have 2 monitors again. I took the third one, the monitor went bad, that little 15-inch one I bought to go into the camera. So I rearranged all this. That's why the mic comes in from here now, and it doesn't come from the other side of frame over, because I had to move the mic boom to the light stand and get it off of the camera stand so there was enough room for this, what is this, a 22-inch monitor to fit under the webcam, which is the Z50. It barely clears the lens. I don't have a way of easily sharing with you. If I had a mirror, I could show you. But yeah,
It literally, I can just barely see the difference between the lens and the top of the monitor. It kind of works out because it got it from, I had it sitting up on top of this tower so that you had two sitting vertically, but looking through my reading glasses, I was constantly craning my neck to work with that upper monitor, and it was not good ergonomics. So getting it down here on plane has really been a better solution. Kind of happy that I did that. What are we looking at around your picture? I created this in one of those AI photo apps to create an overview of a like a vintage technical console, just to give it a frame. It's just and then I cut the center out in GIMP to create the picture tube look, and just used it for something to give it a little bit of a different vibe, I guess. Yeah. I like the monitor screen you have up. Makes you pop. And thank you. And I tried to do complementary colors. Like I adjusted the chromiants on the because it's all one color, and it was blue to start with, but you can drag that chromiant slider and it'll just pass through the whole color spectrum a little at a time. And I picked that because it should match this or complement this red that I'm shining on the wall. See this light here? Yeah. That one's the fill against the wall. I have a blue one over here out of frame. That's why this picture here has a little bit of a different cast on this edge, because I'm hitting the wall on that edge with blue. And I leave this black curtain on purpose because if I want to drop something in this part of the frame, it'll stand out against that black curtain. I normally cover up these cables and just noticed it right there so that you don't have to look at them. That's my charging station. It's got every USB cable ever invented plugged into a USB hub, so I can charge literally everything on Earth. Let me see. But yeah, I just went in there and I told it, you have to drill down. It'll give you some goofy stuff to start with. But yeah, once I told it what I was wanting, and I just kept adding text to the little box with words, it finally gave me one like I was kind of wanting. That, like I said, I was able to just cut the center out and create the monitor kind of effect. Then I also did my white frame outline, but I made it a little thinner. You can't see my mouse. I'm moving my mouse around and you can't see it. It was that it was a lot thicker and it was real distracting. So I made it thinner. But I like the white border. But this is cool. Ray says, I think you should do a whole street session at f1.8. God, there's going to be so many pictures out of focus. Because I still don't know how to drive autofocus in a Nikon mirrorless camera well. I am one of those guys. I'll open the screen, hold it out here like an iPhone, and I have it to touch to focus and release. So I'll find what I want and I just touch it and take the picture. I've gotten to where I started doing that. It's actually kind of addictive once you use it. It works. Excuse me, I got the hiccups. Where'd that come from? Talking too much. I'm gonna set this down and get a sip of water. Settle my stomach. Ah, that's better. Looks like an old Philco TV, yeah. Actually, I thought about right over there is a, man, that's hard to do. Right over there is a white light, and over here is another one. And I thought about cutting the centers out of those and putting something in them that showed up like the channel logo or the Nikon logo or something, and just drop it in there as extra decoration. But I wanted to spoil the stream up. Maybe by next time I'll do that. But I can put stuff behind them, but you just have to build it. OBS is pretty powerful. You can do some really cool stuff with it. Let's see. Let me make sure I ain't missed something. All right. Nope, I've got everything. Well, I appreciate you guys coming around and hanging out with me for, what is this? Oh, we hit 50 minutes. Surely we can come up with something to talk about for 10 more minutes and make it a solid hour stream. But yeah, seriously, dude, I ain't just trying to pad the runtime. This 105 F2 DC Nikkor, I still use it even now without autofocus. Because I can't autofocus it, I shoot it on the Leica SL2, and I manually focus it with that camera because it has really cool focus magnification. It works really well. So I'll get it on frame, rough focus it. I have one of the function buttons on the front of the grip programmed to focus magnification. I just hit that button, it zooms in on whatever my focus point's on. I can tweak the focus to peak it up, and then when I hit the shutter halfway, it turns it back to full screen. I can compose and fire, and it happens pretty darn fast. It's not as fast as electronic focus in an electronic camera, but it's pretty fast. I can probably do that in less than a second. I've done it so much. At those Sacred Heart singings especially. I take so many photos of people leading those songs that my hit rate is really high. It's probably 85%. You know, I'll have a pretty terrible miss rate compared to the power of the modern autofocus system. But in the grand scheme of things, when you shoot 400 photos at a singing and, 330 of them are good or in focus, now you've got to cull them down to about 100 or 125 or 50 to share them. Now you're actually having to cull good images to, So, yeah, I'm kind of stoked to have autofocus with that, especially the ZF's autofocus, to me, is pretty impressive. I think it has the Z9's focus system in it. And man, it's impressive. It really is. That whole deal with Nikon lenses with the FTZ and focus peaking on the eye, these work. This one will do that. And it's kind of distracting when I'm used to, because I did shoot this at one of the singings back at the first part of December. It was right after Thanksgiving. I used the ZF and that lens with the FTZ too. And it would grab that green box on the eye, and by the end of the night, I was used to using it, but at the beginning, it was distracting because the little boxes would hop around on the eyes, and then one would turn green, and I'm not used to seeing that with the SL2. That's a cool lens. Yeah, I want to get the 135 f2 as well. I actually thought about they made a 105 f 1.4 in the G's, and it might be an E, but it's a gilded f-mount lens, and I was really considering that lens because that gives me another stop of light, because those venues are all indoors and they're all dark, and I shoot it wide open, not for the visual cool effect, and it does give you that, but so I can just get enough light to kind of freeze action, and I'm still shooting at pretty slow shutters. I mean, I was talking earlier about 1/500th of a second for street photography. And when I shoot those at singings, it'll be 1/160th, sometimes 1/125th, depending on the lighting. I try to stick around 1/200th and just let the ISO float up. But I've seen ISO 12,800 more than once at 1/200th of a second, wide open at f2. They're just dim, real bad dim. And that's frustrating. So, yeah, I thought about that f1.4 version. Sounds like it's time to get a Plena. Yeah, I don't have Plena money. You got to have Plena money. I'd have to sell some of this stuff to buy it. I think I have the money in the bank that would afford it, but I really don't want to spend it on that. I really want to wait and see if this FTZ AF adapter comes out. I'm really stoked if that's real. Man, that's got me excited. I haven't been, like I said earlier, I haven't been excited about a new product release in ages. Well, the ZF, kinda. I still waited a year to get one, But the AFD and the AF lenses being able to be autofocused on Z camera, that's big to me. I really am. I'm hyped. The Plena, it'd be cool. It'd be heavy, but it'd be cool. The only thing I don't like about the Plena is it's 135. I'd have to back up further, and I don't know. Okay, I can explain this a little bit so you understand my quandary with that. 100 millimeters is the perfect focal length for those events for me, because the way they set them up, they rearrange the church pews when they do those singings, and they set up 4 of them facing with a square in the center. That's where all those people you see standing up holding their books stand. And they'll normally set a second one behind each one of them. Normally they're at least 2 deep. And then they have the congregation area of like a church or whatever venue it's in. There'll be a sitting area back there, because some people don't sing, they just come to listen. And they'll sit back in the gallery. But all the singers sit up in that square area. Well, if you move down the side of the building or stand in the center, you're shooting over the top of the tenor section. And the shorter leaders get lost in the heads, the back of the heads of the tenor section. So what I like to do is get down in a corner. There's usually a slot that passes beside the tenor and bass section, and I stand in that corner and I can shoot through that opening, and I can see the little kids when they get in there. I can get down on one knee and shoot through that little slot and get them, and things like that. And it's a little window of opportunity. And otherwise, you're trying to like do isolated or frame shooting through shoulders and things, and it's just real difficult. So that's why I'm trying to stick with that 100 millimeter focal length. It's just right for that venue. I think for what you do, the 85-1.2 might be a better fit. Just to be truthfully honest, 85 would probably be better. It would. Yeah, it would be a little wider, but it probably wouldn't matter. I could actually sit on the bench instead of having to stand against the wall. But yeah, the 85 would probably be a better choice than the 135, and that would be the reason I'd want it. This thing takes such stunning portraits. I would be hard pressed to be. I mean, it's hard to beat these things. These DC lenses are incredibly well made. I was glad that I was able to locate one before they dropped manufacturing on them. They quit producing them 3 or 4 years ago now, maybe even longer. When I bought mine, I bought it used on eBay from a Japanese camera shop. Pro tip, if you ever want quality used Nikon gear, you can buy it from places like MPB and K&H, and they do a great job of sorting it and grading it and cleaning it and all that and confirming it works. And you do kind of get a warranty there, but eBay has a little bit of a warranty too. But if you'll buy the stuff from Japan, those people are crazy about keeping their gear in pristine condition. Seriously, this thing was like new when I got it. It don't have hardly any scratches on it now. There's one little one right there I saw. But lens cap's beat up a little bit, but I don't care about the lens cap. This ain't even the one that come on it. I've actually took pretty good care of it, but it looked brand new. I don't think it had the box, so I saved like $100 because there wasn't a box. I don't take pictures with the box. But yeah, I bought that one from Japan. I don't remember what I paid for it, $500 or $600, but it's brand new. And the new ones at the time were going for way over $1,000. It was expensive to buy a new one, so I was able to save a considerable amount of money and get a really, really high quality lens out of the deal. Yeah, Hassan says the same thing. He says he's purchased a few items from some Japanese sellers, and he's always satisfied. Everything I've ever bought from a Japanese camera dealer has been perfect. All my vintage lenses I bought from them, they ship them to the U.S. and it ain't a lot. It might be $20 to go halfway around the world, and it'll arrive so well packaged. Yeah, I have never had a bad experience from a Japanese camera seller. I'm sure I'm sure it's happened, but I haven't had it happen. I looked down to check how long we've been online, and it literally rolled over 1 hour. Hassan says, I'm sure a Chinese brand will come out with a Wish knockoff, the Plenty F095. The Plenty. That's a good one. Don't ever, under any circumstances, buy your lenses from Temu, Wish, or Alibaba, or what's that other one? Just don't. Oh no. Let's see what this is about. Oh. I just got a notification about a 10-tech Scout. Now, there's one over there in that case. You can Google search it. It's an amateur radio that was made in the 90s. Very cool radio. I have one of them. I bought one for my friend Roger for his birthday last year, and I wanted another one to mount mobile, and he just sent me notification about someone put one up for sale. So I'm about to go see about that. John Larson says, same experience here with Japan sellers. Dude, yeah. I have never had a bad experience with a Japanese dealer. Yeah, I notice if I face directly at the mic, I have to back up some so I don't overdrive it. I can sit here and it picks it up fine, though. Huh. Yeah, Aaron. That's the guy he just sent me the notice on. I haven't looked at the radio yet. If it hasn't been on fire, I don't care if it doesn't work. I can fix it. I have all the technical documents to figure it out. But I haven't seen it yet. He just sent me the notification. And I don't have Facebook app on my phone anymore, so I'll have to look at it on the computer when we get done. Yes, you did. There's Roger. Uh-oh. What just happened? Huh. I didn't do anything with the computer for a long enough period of time that it went to sleep. The screens all went to the lock screen, and I moved the mouse before it locked, and it come back on. Yeah, since I didn't touch a key or move the mouse, I guess for however many minutes. That's pretty funny. Yeah, caught me by surprise. Now I want to buy one just to see. Oh, yeah. Time for bed. Have a good night, David and everyone. Good night, Phil. Thank you for stopping in. I appreciate it. And if you haven't done it yet, hit the like button. Everybody that's here that I haven't said it to yet, y'all reach down and hit that like button and like the chat or whatever, heart in the chat or whatever that stuff is, because that makes it propagate somehow. Like, they'll share it with more people if you do that. But yeah. New note. Change the lock setting before streaming. Good point. The lock setting before stream. I already have a hot corner set to lock the screen. I just run the mouse up into the upper corner and it locks it. So I don't know why it has this thing still activated. I need to fix that. I still like the 3 in the tree lens. I got to remember what that one is. Manual, I'm guessing. Manual shift, so it's manual lens. Yeah, there are so many lenses in the shadow box behind the camera. So many lenses. Let's see here. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Get this bright light. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 15, 16, 17. I see 17, 18 if you count the one on the camera, but I shouldn't. And there's 3 on the desk that I got out of the box. There's 20 lenses behind the camera. And then there's a bunch more over there in like storage boxes. Yeah. Okay, let me number these. 1, 2, 3. Yep. Getting there. Thanks, Aaron. Also, maybe time to write a bash script to change the settings back and forth. Okay. Bash shell script to change settings and open OBS. Good point. Screwdriver stuck. Remember how. Remember now. Yeah, I'm writing with a pen. It doesn't forget. The batteries don't go dead in a notepad that you write with a pencil on. That's the thing I like about paper and notepads. Writing on an iPad's cool, or them little things that it says, just like writing on paper, but you have to charge it. This notepad lays on my desk for literally months, and I'll tear off the pages as I use them up and throw them in that trash can right under the table. No problems. And it'll just remember dutifully whatever I write on it. All right. Y'all have any questions for me before I shut this thing down and mess around with putting up my lenses and then maybe dialing around on HF for a minute and then seeing if I can buy this radio from this cat? I'm going to wait for the chat to update. But yeah, it's been a wonderful stream tonight, guys. I've had a lot of fun. There's been a lot of stuff happen. I've shared a lot about what I do with my camera, how I edit a little bit. If y'all want a full-on editing video, shows my process where I do actual edits, because editing for me is a very minimalist kind of thing. I don't get real heavy into the manipulation of the images, because I'm a guy who likes to get out and take the photos, and I'm not really a guy who likes to edit them. So if you want to see my editing workflow in a video, I'll be happy to do it. But no one's ever really asked me how I edit, so that's why I've never done one. Photo app on Ubuntu. My 2 apps I do all of my stuff with my images are Darktable is my raw editor. You can edit JPEGs in it too, but it's meant for raw files. It'll work with either. But it's like Lightroom. That's what its claim to fame is it's a knockoff of Lightroom. And then my knockoff of Photoshop is GIMP. And I've used GIMP seriously since probably 2007. I have used it so long. And they keep threatening GIMP 3.0 is coming. And if it drops, like there's beta versions out and people are testing it. If it comes out like they claim that it's going to do, it's going to be a pretty good contender to Photoshop. It's got most of the Photoshop functionality except the AI embedded stuff. I don't think they have that worked into it, but it's got a bunch of things that it's missing now that Photoshop has that people like, that people want to use. There's a lot of stuff to do with like layers that you can do in Photoshop that you can't do in GIMP 2.10 that I use. Like you can't select multiple layers at once right now. That's a thing that they're going to have in the new one. And there's a lot of stuff like that people are frustrated with, that they can't access, that Photoshop has been using for years, you know. Aaron, okay, Aaron's life, just dropped it in the chat, and I'm going to announce it on here, is that I will be, listen to him, I'm reading his comment. He will be stream editing on Twitch soon. He's going to have a Twitch channel where he's going to live stream his editing workflow live while he does his edits from his downloads. So if you want to see his process from start to finish, essentially, you can catch him on Twitch in the not too distant future. Late to the party. Bass Angler has arrived. 1 hour and 10 minutes into the stream. Really hoping that the screwdriver rumors are true, but I'll be disappointed if they're not. Yeah, me too. I'm looking to make sure. Yeah, that shell script's a good idea, Aaron. I'm going to do that. That way when I run the shell script, it'll launch everything like I need. It'll make the changes, and yeah. And then I'll make another one that puts it back. I'll have it say OBS undo, and it'll put everything back like it was. Everyone slow clap for Bass Angler. Trey said, yeah, earlier somebody said you have to say his name 3 times and then it'll summon him. And so I did it. Well, it worked. It just takes a while. Oh yeah. Let me make a note about this. There we go. I'll have to get with you on that, Aaron. I am not that well versed. My shell scripting knowledge is very rudimentary and usually involves a lot of Google searching on how to make it do this thing. And, you know, I have a lot to learn there. I know how to do it essentially, but yeah, I need to tap into that mind of yours for some of that. I was down in Louisiana a couple weeks ago. Note about saying name 3 times. No, the note was to add the limiter to the audio circuit so that it doesn't bust out the audio on the peaks. I can see it a little bit bouncing 0 dB, so it's most likely clipping, and I can fix that real easy. I just can't do it while I'm streaming. Way down in the marsh. Chat GPT will write it for you. Dude. I have more notes on this list now than I had to go over in the stream. Don't know why I didn't think of that. I haven't logged into my Chat GPT account in some time now. Let's see. I don't know what I'm looking at. I'll figure that out in a minute. A friend sent me what looks to be as a link to a video, so I'll look at it in a minute. Yeah. All right. I think I'm going to shut this down and get off the stream, and then start working on this punch list that I have created so that I can be ready for the next one. Because now I've got my computer kind of sorted out and I'm going to be getting things up and rolling. And I want to start off the new year with, I'd like to do at least one stream a month next year instead of just sporadically like I've been doing them. Maybe try to even schedule them. But I got to do something better than what I've been doing for my streams. So with that, I appreciate you guys. And I really do appreciate you hanging out with me. You just don't know how much I appreciate it. If you haven't done it, hit the like button in the comments. The 3 in the tree was when you took apart a lens and tried to put it back together. Yeah, I did a couple of them. Varying degrees of success. Later, everyone. See you, Hassan. I appreciate you guys coming by. I really do. So until next time, this is David, the Georgia photographer. I'm going to tell you to get your camera out, no matter what kind it is, and go take a picture with it, all right? We'll see y'all later. Bye-bye. And